Hey everybody, my name is Bethany Friel. I'm the author of Vertical Athlete, Fundamentals of Training for Pole Fitness and Dance. And I was recently able to go down to Pole Expo 2013 down in Las Vegas and ask a few questions of folks. And one of the questions I posed was, what is the name of the molecule that provides usable energy for our body to do any number of things to flex our muscles, but especially in the context of exercise? What is the foundational molecule that provides us usable energy? And I was actually really surprised because I got no answer. It was just like crickets in the room. So that's what I wanted to talk about today. That foundational, very important molecule is often referred to as ATP. Which is sort of an acronym for adenosine triphosphate. Now, adenosine triphosphate, found in our body, is just a molecule of adenosine and 3 phosphate molecules that are all bound together. And how this molecule gives us energy is through breaking of chemical bonds. So one way you can think of this is, say we have these 4 molecules and we've got adenosine and we've got 3 phosphate molecules connected to it. Now they're connected by a chemical bond, so we can pretend that this pencil is the bond. Now, when our body needs energy, one of those phosphate molecules is broken off. The bond is broken, and when that bond is broken, energy is released, and our body is then able to use that energy to fuel movement or contraction of any sort of muscle. So if you imagine that this pencil is that bond, and we're going to break this pencil, we're going to bend it, and as it starts to bend, I hear it cracking a little bit, and then pow! So when I broke the pencil, we heard a loud snap. There's a little bit of probably micro shards that flew a little bit. And so that sound and the shards of pencil going out are forms of energy. So the same thing happens when one of those bonds between a phosphate molecule and the adenosine molecule are broken. There's energy released, and then our body's able to use that energy. Pretty commonly, if you were to ask somebody, what's the energy our body uses, you'd probably get answers like food or carbohydrates, those type of things, which are true in a sense, but when it comes down to it, it's all about ATP. All of those other things are what allow us to break the phosphate bond in an ATP molecule. So all of this sounds like, what the heck do I need to know all of this stuff for? It's chemistry, it's like way beyond me, I just want to be a really good athlete. Well, this actually is a really important concept, because what it leads into is what's called bioenergetics, and that's how this molecule is formed, because we have to form that molecule first before we can break the bond to create energy. And how that molecule is formed is through process of metabolism. And depending on which process of metabolism you're going to be using, you get different amounts of ATP, and then that ATP forms at different speeds. So say if we're pulling, we want ATP really fast. It's a high power sport, and but it's not like endurance as if we're going to go run 5 miles. So we don't need a whole lot of ATP. So our bodies have different ways of forming ATP, and depending on how our body likes to form ATP and how we're training it to form ATP, that's the sport we're going to be better at. So that's a quick introduction to bioenergetics and ATP, and I'll also later talk a lot more about the different types of metabolism and how that impacts how you should train for pole.